In this video, I want to cover the Employees Retention Credit. Why? Because this is a way to get a credit as an employer up to 50% of wages. The credit can be maxed $5,000 in the case of your revenues are declining or you're part of a order to either partially or totally shut down under the coronavirus. In the time of survival for this country and for you and I, the small business, and for us to care about our employees, how do we work through this storm and come out on the other side? So here's what I first want to look at. Who qualifies? It's any employer, but any employer, better make that an N, any employer who is fully or partially shut down because of a government order with Corona-19, so that's C-19 by government, or they've got a drop in receipts till the receipts are less than 50% of gross receipts. And that's in a period from 3/12. Actually, the law says, there's different places. There's another law that says 3/12, one says 3/13, but it's after 3/12/20 to 12/31/20. So the thing about it is, this is a credit that's between this period. Just to help us get through the whole year. So we've talked about who qualifies. Let's look at, because I said any employer, but there's two sets of rules based on the size of the employer. So number one, we actually have less than or equal to 100, and a double E means employees. The credit applies to all wages. Number two, if we have greater than 100 full-time employees, full-time, I want to make sure you understand, it's not just employees, but it's full-time employees, then the credit applies to qualified wages when the employees are not providing services due to a government order related to, and again, Corona-19. So just to kind of recap where we're at here is the first step, all employers qualify. This is directly related to a government action related to Corona-19. So what happens is you're fully or partially suspended, or your revenues are less than 50% of what they would be. And this goes all the way through December 31st. Very critical. I'll tell you how to get the money, because you're going to get the money. But the important thing is, two sets of rules. If you're under 100, then it applies to all employees that are full-time. If you're over 100, it applies strictly with the wages paid to employees whenever they're not providing the service and it's due to a government order. In a video on payroll taxes in the Form 7200, I show you how to get this refund in detail, including the instructions to the brand new form. But let's go on ahead and let's continue with the credit. The credit is a 50% credit on qualified wages. We just defined what qualified wages. The one note I do want to say, the qualified wages include a health insurance. We get 50% credit of qualified wages. Secondly, what happens is we have a limit, and it's all quarters of 2020. We cannot get more than $10,000 per employee of qualified wages. So this is wages. So the cap is a $5,000 credit. Okay, I'm going to get my red here. So what's it mean to you and I in our pocket? It's the fact that, again, if we're totally or partially shut down, our gross receipts go under 50%, we can still work with retention of our employees. And from now to December 31st, what we can do is we can apply on our reports and get up to, per employee, a credit maxed at $5,000. Here's the next step. How do I get it? Well, the first step is I'm going to do my normal payroll and do my normal payroll reports. And how I get the credit is first I get it back on the 941, 43, 944, or the CT-1. So we get to the end of the quarter, you, the employer, your payroll professional, your tax professional, they're going to go in on the quarterly reports and they're going to get the credit. Now, secondly, what happens if I can't get the whole credit? Let's say, for example, I have a $5,000 liability on my, and I'll use the example of the 941, but my credit is $7,000. There's a problem. On this payroll report, I can't get it all back. So in that case, I'm going to go to step 3. What we're going to do is we're going to file a new Form 7200. That Form 7200, again, I've done a video on it. I've gone through line by line, what qualifies, how to do it. So please go to that video, but for here, for a sake of understanding what our credit's about, then on that form, it's going to do a calculation, and in effect, it's going to say, okay, on the 941, I got 5,000 back, but I had 7,000 credit. What's going to happen is the credit is going to be $2,000 on my 7,200. Just real quick, if you get all the credit back, if I get all the credit back on my regular payroll, then what's going to happen is I don't need to file the form. But if I don't get all my benefit of the credit, I don't have to wait to the end of the year. What I end up doing is in that quarter, I'm going to file the Form 7200. And actually, if you look at the Form 7200, I know this is not the form, over here in this area, it's got 3 little boxes. So I get to the end of the second quarter, and I have to file to get this 2,000. I'm going to go over here and check the box for the second quarter. If it's third quarter, I'm going to go over and check the box the fourth quarter. My point is, you don't wait to the end of the year, you each quarter. So this is quarterly. I'm going to file the 7,200. At the end of the year, there will be a reconciliation. Those instructions and guidance aren't out yet, but what will happen is real time, because this whole concept about the stimulus package is how do we get the money on the street as soon as possible for the success of the country, the success of the employer, and the success of the employee. And I think, in times like this, normally I'd be doing a continuing education program on this. You'd wait till the summer or the fall. I'm doing these to get it out there faster, because we all need this faster. So I think it's important. One of the final things I want to talk about, and I will go more in depth when I do an overview of the coronavirus stimulus programs. But what we got to watch is that if you use this credit, then the wages do not qualify for the family first stimulus package, because you can't double dip. Again, you've got to realize that. Also, if you use this, so this is a no-no, that's X for no-no. And another one is if you're going to do the Paycheck protection program over on the banking side, again, you can't get a credit here and then go over here and say, oh, I'll get it here and get it here. And what I kind of am coming to as a conclusion, this is an overview. This is how you do it. We've went through the steps, but most importantly, whether it's payroll reports or going over the banking side, you the small employer, you the payroll person, the payroll professional, the tax professional, what you have to realize, we're all signing under perjury. We got to play by the rules. I say this in all the presentations. And the fact is, we have to have the knowledge to know, have we deducted it, or have we taken credit, or have we got reimbursed on one of the other programs? So that's why in this series, I'm doing all the areas. I'm not a banker. Go over here and you get this. I'll put this right here. You're going to go over here and you're going to get the Paycheck Protection Program. That's a bank SBA program. I didn't do it, but I have to inquire. So if you're that small business person, I want to appeal to you very sincerely. Please go to a qualified tax payroll professional. Go to irs.gov. They tell you how to qualify it. I do continuing education as a tax professional, as a payroll professional. I belong to NATP, National Association of Tax Professionals, AICPA, the American Institute of CPAs. I belong to the Missouri Society of CPAs. My point is, there is really benefit here, but if we can't just say, well, I didn't know the law. We've got to do it right. We want to stay in business. It's a time we come together. And again, I can't say enough about, please go to the tax payroll professional. I hope this helps.